YouTube. We're good. Good? Good everywhere. All right, we're back. First, the sponsors.
All right.
Head over to www.johnbartoloshow.com. Check out all the sponsors. I want to give a special thanks to Rhino Metals, Gallo Technologies, Galco Leather Holsters, Blackwater Ammunition, Right On Optics, Manscaped. I always forget Manscaped. Manscaped. Get everybody. We get a special quasi-Halloween edition. Quasi, we're going to get into that. This is going to be awesome. He's the owner of Real Muscle. He's a 2A enthusiast. He loves all things gory. Am I getting this all right? He's a videographer, social media guru, YouTuber, all the above. Loves horror.
Just letting you do your thing.
Yeah. Loves the genre. We got Joe from Real Muscle. What's going on, brother?
What's up, John? Thank you.
What's up? Got to build it up. I got to hype it.
I'm letting you go.
Got to get a slow roll.
This is a big deal for me.
This is big. Make sure you're talking on the mic. Pull it closer like you love it.
Oh, I do.
All right. I'm never been so excited. But first, let's talk a little bit. We gotta do the obligatory. Let's talk a little bit about Olympia. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming up, what's going on in the fitness industry. Olympia is going to happen. It's not going to be in the incarnation that we know it as, and there's probably not going to be an expo and all that jazz. We were talking about that with Jay the other day.
Which is actually, for me, the least exciting part.
Right.
Because a lot of people go and fanboy over these people. Or I did at one point, but now I actually
now you know them.
I know them, a lot of them on a personal level. So it's like if I see them, it's awesome. But for me, the intriguing point is actually working with them and being in a gym and firsthand, not just waiting in line to shake their hand.
So the big thing with Olympia is, and this is the $1 million question, how do we fix Olympia, and does it need fixing? Do they need to take a deeper page from the Arnold? What is it, Joe? You're a media guy. I mean, give me your honest, be the director of media operations for a second.
Well, I think they had a gold mine when they used to do the pay-per-view. Remember the old pay-per-views?
It's true.
Back when, was it Dorian they had pay-per-view, or was that?
The early Jay years, I think Jay and Ronnie.
I remember it was a whole production. I remember because my dad used to always, we would order it and watch it back then. It was almost like ordering a fight.
I want to know how they fix it, though, because a lot of these expos, and this hasn't happened in the gun industry yet, thank God, unless you go to the Great American Outdoor Show, which is like a swap meet. It hasn't deteriorated to like a T-shirt and shaker cup expo. And if it was like that in the gun industry, I think we'd all jump out a fucking window. But it hasn't got that bad yet in the gun industry. How do we get Olympia in these, the Arnold's pretty dialed in, and I think he does a good job of incorporating so many other things into the Arnold.
Yeah, so many different sports besides bodybuilding.
Right.
That's what they draw is for that, I think.
I'm trying, my concern is how do you get the Olympia Expo to have more excitement? And I said the answer is quite simple. Put the show on the floor. That's what I said.
Well, like had the expo?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the answer either.
Well, tell me. Preach.
Well, for people that can't be there, I like the live stream aspect of it, but they just need a better feed. I mean, from a technical director standpoint, you always see them doing like some weird close-up or a side angle where you'll see someone's gut hanging out doing a front double, and as an audience member, you would never see that, and nor can you judge from that. Like, you should be watching it like you would a sport. You should be able to view it from the judge's perspective and make your own, determination of who you think's the winner. I think that's where it lacks. To try to get too fancy, do all these weird shots and stuff like that, and it takes you out of it.
Right. I just wish, selfishly, the shows, I'd love to see the expos thrive.
Of course.
I think we all do. And it's like, we go through this with SHOT Show. We go through this with SEMA, with all the different shows. It's a reluctance by a lot of the brands to take that quantum leap forward. And I think you're right. I think some type of paywall, but I think it should be in-house. I don't think it necessarily has to be pay-per-view now because streaming's so readily available. Right. Pay-per-view is kind of like antiquated. You can do something right on the Olympia website, which I think they're going to do, but I think more of like a commentary that goes with it.
But still for them to monetize it in a way.
Right. It has to be monetized.
Yeah. That's why I'd say pay-per-view, but I just mean to pay to watch, not necessarily that.
Pay to play.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't want to spend all day on Olympia, but it's looming out there. Who are your top 5 guys because I asked Jay. Top 3.
Right.
Obviously, listen, I'll tell you mine because we talked about it yesterday.
Yep.
I think Bonnick's going to be right up in there.
Okay.
I think Flex Lewis is a dark horse. I like what
he's a wild card.
He's a wild card. I think he's top 5. I think he'll be top 5.
Yes.
As I just think he'll be too hard to ignore. The maturity, the muscle bellies, everything is just going to be too hard to just, turn your back to that.
Yeah.
I think I really see something interesting playing out with Bonnick. He could be right in there. I don't want to say it's his to lose. You got to say it's Phil's to lose. You almost have to say it's Phil's to lose or Brennan. But you still have to say it's Phil's to lose.
Yeah.
With Bonnick and Brendan Curry right there. And then I think you have Flex coming in. And like we said, we've never seen a Flex Lewis at 230, 225, which is probably where he's going to come in.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a lot of fun. But what do you say?
I think Flex is sitting around 250-ish right now. He's up there. So when he comes down, it'll probably be around that weight. But I think it's definitely going to be between Brandon and Phil as 1 and 2. And then I think...
And Sean Roden will be... not Sean Roden.
If he was in there, he would be up there too.
Sean Roden will be in there, but he's not. And that's a different story. But I think Dexter...
I think Dexter's out of top 5.
It's bold.
Yeah.
Especially in the last year.
And then Bonac, I'll go with 5th. Hottie.
Yeah.
I like 4th if he really, brings it in like he did that year. But
he's a hit or miss.
Yeah.
If he hits.
He doesn't have the prettiest shape, but his conditioning was the best in the show last year, I think.
Yeah.
And then I think another dark horse, not top 5. But I'm excited to see what Hunter Lorada does, even though he's young. It's his first one.
God, I love him.
I just want to see
who doesn't love Hunter?
How he mixes in there. I'm very excited about it.
I remember when he won his first show. He was there. God,
first show or turn pro, you mean?
Turn pro.
Okay, yeah. The
pro.
Nationals, yeah.
He said first pro.
Yep. And he sweeped that show. It wasn't even a question.
I think he's 3 to 5 years out.
Yeah, but I think he can hang in there.
I think he's in that same position as God rest his soul, as Dallas McCarver. Like, he's the heir apparent. He'll be the next, if he sticks with it and he builds and he grows, he's going to be a guy in 3 years that's going to be insanely formidable.
Well, that's what they think about Regan, too.
I don't know, though. I think Hunter's just so much further along.
Than Regan?
I think he's got a better team around him. I think he's going to have more advantage. I mean, let's be honest. I think he's just going to have more in his corner pulling for him. Not to say him and whether you call it Regan or Reagan, whatever
Regan
you call
Grimes,
him, Regan Grimes. I think they could have some battles, but I just look at how Hunter's body's matured.
Yeah, they're no doubt going to be the future. Like you said, it's just a matter of.
And Hunter's younger, isn't he?
No, I think they're very close
same
to
age.
Regan might actually be younger.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I think they could have some wars. But I see Hunter on an arc that I think is just, we haven't seen a guy on in a long. Not since Cody went from the juniors to pro. Like, Cody was there was a 3-year window where he was just he had the body of a 30-year-old. Yeah. Cody Montgomery.
And then life happens, and he had
life
some
happens.
other things. But he'll be
and
back.
he was trying different weight divisions, and Cody was messing around with that. And
what is his first time out at the Arnold? He had a good showing.
I think he's still got a tremendously promising future. It's going to come down to how he balances life and bodybuilding.
He's only still 26.
Got to get him back on. It's been a minute.
He's still about 26 now.
He has plenty of time. He has plenty of time. He's a baby. Yeah. Love you, Cody. So the Olympia will be interesting. And then, The Rock has a show looming. Interesting with The Rock coming out and getting political, huh?
Don't want to talk about it.
Why?
That really upset me.
But what do you think? Forget about the politics of it. What do you think promoted him to do that?
My parents actually brought up a good point, and you figure all of his main things are through NBC. Where does NBC stand?
It's a good point. It's true. It's a good point.
Because if you're Titan Games through NBC, he's coming out with a new show the day after he announced that whole endorsement that he's coming out with the show Young Rock, talking about his childhood. The whole cast is already ready to go, so they might have given him an ultimatum. You come out and make this endorsement.
You think they came at him that strong, though?
I feel like you'd have to for that. I don't know. I don't see what the incentive was of him doing that otherwise.
I have a hard time believing they came at him that strong, though.
I feel like it would have to take something like that for him to do it. I would hope. the amount of, like, you know, support I've had
I
for
still
him
have
and
to
faith I
believe
have in
he's
him.
smart enough that there's some kind of back alley deal.
It's gotta.
You know,
Or it's something to save his ass or something like that. I don't know.
Well, that's a theory. That's conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
But I find it terrible. Listen, The Rock's always been a smart move guy throughout his career. In my opinion, as an actor, he's had like one good role, one bad role, one good role, one bad role. He's always been that way.
He plays himself.
But he plays himself. But he was the heir apparent to the whole Arnold throne, the masculinity, whatever.
You remember in the rundown, that scene? When he walks by?
Whole thing.
He goes, good luck.
Yeah, the whole thing.
That was passing the torch to The Rock.
Pass the torch. But what I see is, I think it was a little bit of a mistake. The timing of this was a little bit of a mistake. I could have seen him supporting like a Tulsi Gabbard because of the Hawaii thing and everything else and the Samoan thing. And I don't think anybody would have batted an eyelash at that. You know what I mean? She's military girl, you know, the whole bit. Yeah. I don't think anybody would have flinched. I just find the timing of it very peculiar, and it was a peculiar move on his part because I don't think this was something he had to throw a hand in.
No. He could have stayed. He made enough comments about the whole COVID situation in the beginning that I didn't think he had to say more. And then the fact that he came out and said him and his family had COVID for X amount of weeks. And here he is posting workout videos every day. I'm like, what's the agenda here?
Yeah. The NBC thing's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And I didn't think of that.
All the Hollywood elite stuff we hear nowadays, and how do people get where they did as fast as they did. Because he disappeared, after Tooth Fairy, and then Fast 5 came out, Pain and Gain, blew right up.
He's had an interesting arc for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he could have gone down the toilet very quickly, you know, with some roles, but he's managed to stand the test of time because I don't think he's had a lot of competition in his space either.
I don't know how much truth there was to it, but I saw a post saying that he was at 220 million followers at one point, and after he made that, he dropped 21 million. He's at 199 now.
Wow. Can we verify that?
I don't know how true it is.
Can we do some Googling on that? Can we get
I saw that.
We gotta do some deep staff analysis on that.
Losing 21 million followers in a span
Wow.
of 2 days.
That's fucking crazy. If
that's true, yeah.
It's social media, yeah. I mean, I believe it.
Yeah.
100%.
It's got to impact it somewhat.
Yeah.
Even if it's not that significant, it's got to have.
Well, when you look at it from a social media perspective, and I look at you as a media expert, you're out there, you've been doing it a long time. And I look at you as a guy who has the knowledge and the know-how. You pay attention to what's going on out there. This type of political stuff affects you no matter what, good, bad, and ugly.
Yep.
And I think him jumping in, I think the timing was just wrong. I don't think he needed to. Mm-hmm. He could have subtly said his piece. I think it was the owner of BET just came out, and he had an interesting quote. Okay. The former owner of BET, the black owner, billionaire, first black billionaire. I think his last name's Johnson. He said, "I'd rather take the devil I know right now than a devil I don't." And that was like his subtle way of
either way
nodding, yeah. You know. The Rock, I think it was a little bit misguided. I don't think he needed to do that. I don't think the timing of it was right.
And his execution of it was so cringy. He was, I mean, God rest his soul, he was quoting his dad about saying, how are you going to earn our respect? And for two Democrats to sit there and say, we're going to, by telling the truth, that's how we're going to do it, just flat out with no other explanation. Like, okay, that's not common sense, what you would hope to say, or it's just, I don't know how to explain.
Well, we got stats. What do you got?
It says that at the start of September, when the article was released, he had 196 million followers, and he currently is at 199.
So it went up.
Mm-hmm.
Went up.
Stat was way off then. What I saw.
Interesting. I wonder if that's by design. Maybe be the other way. Who knows?
You know what? You could. You're Social Blade.
Social Blade will tell you.
Yeah, it'll tell you now.
Social Blade will tell you now. While our esteemed panel is doing its digging, we'll segue into a season we both love. We had Jay on. He loves it too. He's a New Englander.
Yep.
New Englanders tend to always gravitate towards Halloween. It's the way we are. It's my favorite holiday.
Well, you're right by Salem.
Of course. What do you got a stat?
No.
Oh, you got excited there.
It's my favorite holiday as well.
Yeah, it's the best.
It is. I celebrate all month.
Why does Halloween and horror hold such a special place for you?
Well, one, I started watching them when I was so young. Like, 'cause my dad always loved horror movies, and I think one of the first ones I saw was Evil Dead when I was like 7 years old.
Classic.
Yeah, the first one, Bruce Campbell. I had nightmares hiding under a blanket because of the grandma in the basement through that little trap door.
Oh,
I hated that scene. I was so scared of that. And then from there, I used to go to a lot of horror movie conventions when I was about 10 years old. And then I was always going to them. Like one of the first people I met was George Romero. And then I met Betsy Palmer, Jason Baum.
mm-hmm.
And then I would meet Tom Savini.
Oh,
And then I would go and meet,
these are classic icons.
Any iconic horror character you can think of, I've met by the time I was 14 years old.
Oh, man.
Like Doug Bradley, Gunnar Hansen before he passed away, Leatherface,
Mm-hmm.
Kane Hodder.
Yeah.
Who else? Even not horror movie related, but always talked in the same conversation. Clockwork Orange is one of my favorite movies. I met Malcolm McDowell.
Oh,
And he was in the new Halloweens as Dr. Loomis for Rob Zombies.
so amazing.
So I've met a lot of the top ones in all of horror. Captain Spaulding, Sid Haig, rest in peace as well. Those are one of my favorites. Devil's Rejects, one of my favorite horror movies.
What do you got? You got anything?
Mm-hmm.
What does she got?
Confirms.
Okay. We've double checked and rechecked the rock statistics.
So it went up.
It went up.
It went
So
up.
we're the other ones that don't approve of it.
We're alone.
All alone.
We'll be alone.
On a rock.
So the horror thing, here's the thing with me.
Okay. And then just going on that point real quick, I started making short horror movies in my backyard at around 11 years old with Halloween costumes. So I did like my own Jason versus Leatherface movie. We would just clash the plastic machete with the plastic chainsaws and just escalated into that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Isn't that's fucking amazing to me?
Yeah. And then now I'll plug myself that my horror movie I made in college is on Amazon Prime now. It's called Final Cut.
I didn't know that.
I didn't tell you that?
No.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, you can rent it on Amazon Prime. It's on DirecTV, Xfinity. Where else is it?
Say the name again.
It's Final Cut.
We're gonna have to get it.
Yeah, I made it as my senior thesis project because I didn't want to work as an intern on like TV sets or anything. I always wanted to just go in, come out of the graduate with a feature film and get it, shopped around, get distribution, and luckily it worked out.
So, okay, here's the deal. Horror holds a special place with me.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid growing up, being from New England, Jaws is a rite of passage. So you have to watch Jaws.
Yep.
So, of course, when you were a kid growing up in New England, you watched Jaws, you were fucking terrified of the water.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part is with horror movies is because they're so low budget and because they're the screwy way that they're all made. And they're all made in a screwy way.
Yeah.
You didn't see the shark the whole movie because the shark didn't frickin' work, which is the comical part.
Which is what helped it.
And what little stock footage they could pull from Shark Tank footage, everything else, if you really watch Jaws closely, it's really terrible in the way that they were able to just get...
Well, the one scene with the spear in his mouth with the rope at the shark cage part, you could tell it's a lot smaller. It's a real shark.
Of course.
But everywhere else, when it first breaks through that window, when Brody's, as the ship's going down, that what makes my heart drop still. And even though it's a big fake shark, but just I don't know, something about it. It's so eerie to me.
I will say what I think, and I want to get your take. What makes a horror movie great, like what makes Jaws great, and people forget this, is the scene when they talk about the Annapolis. Yep. It's always when they inject a degree of truth into the movie that you kind of have to sit back and be like one of the genius things of the Jason movies is it's kids camping. What kid in that era didn't go camping?
Yeah.
So you were terrified because they took something common.
Yeah, take something real and make it
something common
and turn it upside down.
So
if you kill you with it.
If you look at all the great horror movies, Halloween, what essentially is the core of the Halloween movie? A babysitter
who gets stalked by a murderer.
Jaws, a plausible scenario, okay, with a little bit of a real story in there that helps shape the whole narrative of why Quint is the way he is and why he's so terrified. And he's like, I'll never put a life jacket on again because he knows the horrors of sharks, which now today would never fly because of we know a lot more about sharks and so on and so forth. But all the great horror movies have that essential. It wasn't until, and this is the question I want to get to with you, is where does the line get drawn from a horror movie to something that's a thriller to something that's just a gore movie? Where do you draw the line? Because I look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre as not so much a horror movie as more of a gore.
Well, yeah, I break it down into several different genres. So there's the thriller. That's where, like Scream, I consider a thriller, even though it's still borderline a slasher as well. But it's just the certain tone of it that doesn't feel like a horror movie as it does. There's a lot of suspense. It's not just jump scares and stuff like that to scare you. It's more of, you're watching it's more of along the lines of a drama. Whereas in like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Freddy, Jason, all those are just slasher movies. It's just for the gore. It's a guy killing a bunch of characters and that's it. Not much story besides you're following the lead girl try to get out. And then there's the paranormal, where the supernatural type horror, where you have paranormal activity or The Conjuring or Poltergeist, things like that. And then just one other I break it down into.
Psychological. Like I put Seven as a psychological. Shining, psychological.
Yes. Exactly. So that's where I kind of base them. I split them up into subcategories.
And what's the greatest horror movie of all time?
I think The Shining.
It's hard to argue.
I don't know. That just holds up for as long as it has. It's just, I don't know. You can't compare anything to that.
Did you like the Dr. Sleep follow-up?
It was all right.
It was okay. I thought
the one thing that took me out of it was that they tried to have someone stand in for Jack Nicholson. That made me like, there's some stand-in double. Yeah. I just wish they didn't touch that part. Cool, bring us back to the hotel, but they shouldn't have done that.
They've butchered and ruined so many of the Stephen King movies in so many ways.
Well, you know that story with Stanley Kubrick, right?
Yeah. They hate each other.
Yeah.
So for me, I have to say so let me put it this way. The Shining is the supreme choice, and I'm right there with you.
Okay.
So it's in my top 3, but I look at it as like, what movie today, if I still watched it, scares the shit out of me?
Okay.
And I've watched it for 50 times, say.
I got another one for you then. Go ahead.
So I'm going to say The Shining is right there because you watch it 50 times and 50 times come up with 50 different scenarios. Yeah. Is he still alive? Was he ever alive?
Was he a ghost always there?
Was he a ghost always there? Whatever.
The 4th of July ball?
You can play that thing 100 times. I cannot watch The Silence of the Lambs without being terrified.
Okay.
To me, Hannibal Lecter is a real person. And that's a testament to Anthony Hopkins' acting and what he did in that movie. And he takes you inside the psychology of it, which that kicked off to me the entire crime genre in terms of like that deep psychological journey into what makes a killer.
Even Saw. They go through all that.
Well, I'll get to Saw and Scream and my thoughts on those, but I put Silence of the Lambs in there, and then I have to pay a nod to Halloween.
Yeah, it was the first of its kind.
It was the first, like you said, it's a slasher, and it's an easy lob-in choice. Yeah. I get it. I'm taking the easy route, but I think you had the perfect mix of the shape, okay, which is what they refer to Michael Myers as, the shape. You had
almost picture it as Jaws out of water. You don't see him too much, but when you do,
you had an absolutely acting out of her skirt Jamie Lee Curtis in that movie, very early in her career. When you saw the fear in her face, you believed it.
Yep.
And she's still the ultimate final girl. Remains to be seen if she survives or what happens and how this plays out. I like the timeline they're on with Halloween, and that's what made me. I probably wouldn't have put it in my list prior to the new edition because I hate what they did with H2O because people don't realize there's really 3 timelines with Halloween.
Well, indirectly, yeah. Because you kind of rob zombies as well?
Well, I can explain the 3 timelines. I've done my homework. Okay. There's 3 timelines. You have the original timeline that follows the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, where they get into the whole thorn and he's possessed and all this stuff and the druids, and it gets weird after that. Because what they tried to do is chase the Jason series and
make them supernatural, mortal.
They try to chase all that stuff. Then they dropped all that with H2O. So the second timeline was they came out with H2O, which basically disavowed everything after the second one.
Yeah.
That's another timeline in Halloween. Then the Rob Zombie ones were a reboot, and they're like their own timeline. So like you said, there's actually 4.
Okay.
So if you count that as one. Now this new series, basically, there was the first one, and now there's this. Now they're going to pay some homage to the second one, because supposedly this new one is going to be start in the hospital and all this. So I think they're going to pay a nod
certain elements,
to certain elements. Whether or not they're going to make the announcement that that's his sister or their brother and sister, I don't,
they're keeping that separate.
We don't know.
I know.
Okay. He knows. We got insight. You heard it here first. The hard-hitting questions.
Well, I think the point that they want to make sure is that they see Michael as scarier if it's someone random as opposed to directly related.
Good point.
That's why they're sticking that route.
Listen, I accept your inside information.
I also have a couple conversations with the producer of it.
Good. So we got inside baseball now. You heard it here. But I like what they're doing. I think elements of that series, because then you can watch the first one for what it is. And you can watch this new one, and then the third one, and that's a timeline. Now, to me, the worst of all of them, and I'm going to get to Scream and Saw, because I want to get all your thoughts on this. Okay. The worst of all of them are the Nightmare on Elm Streets. I'm not a giant Nightmare on Elm Street fan, because I feel that they made Freddy too comical in so many ways. Like, it's almost like he became like when you see Freddy, it's almost
scared.
Comedic.
Yeah. You know something bad's going to happen, but you're not scared.
You're not scared.
Yeah.
So they the first one was good, but they ruined it after that. Now, glad you brought up Saw.
I do have to say, I think Nightmare on Elm Street are some of the most creative movies of all time, though.
Well, listen, I'm going to let you rattle after this. Saw, for me, is its own journey into the psychological, similar to what Silence of the Lambs was in so many ways for me, of one person's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think it takes you down that winding path of weirdness and, I guess you'd say, revenge, and there's so many different things wrapped into it.
7 even has elements of...
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think they stole elements from 7, and they stole elements from different genres, but a lot of Japanese influence in it.
Yep.
But I think that's more of like a torture scary in so many ways.
But I do like the underlying B story to that. With
yes.
Dr. Gordon.
They did a good job fleshing out
everything else going on behind the scenes. That's what I'm more interested in, as opposed to the actual, even though the kills are brutal.
Yeah.
Those are the most disgusting things that I've seen on screen. But I do enjoy the underlying story, with Strom and, Hoffman and everything like that going on between he's actually the detective running everything after Jigsaw dies.
Now, if I was to pick one, now this gets to a deeper question for you. If I was to get to one standalone, like if I had to watch it from start to finish, and it depends where they go with it. If I was to watch it from start to finish, journey, one saga, and they have a chance to really fucking kill it with this, it's Scream. And I'm going to tell you why. The Scream movies, with the exception of...
I don't like the last one that much.
I was going to say, with the exception of the last one, but I think they have a way they can twist it. Because I like how they've incorporated the brother, Cotton, and all those different elements. If they make Dewey the killer...
Yeah, that'd be cool.
In the end, fuck my life. It'll change everything.
Else,
You'll
watch everything else
gives,
so different.
oh my God. Yeah. It gives me tingles thinking about it. Like so they're talking about releasing at least 2 more, possibly 3. They were saying at least 2 more coming out. And if they make Dewey the killer and they kill Sidney Prescott, that would make the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, just
completely cement the whole saga.
Yeah.
But I think if Dewey becomes the mastermind killer behind the whole thing, David Arquette, shut it down. That's the best saga.
Okay.
Because then it adds such a wrinkle, and it forces you to go back, like you said, and watch all of them again.
Even though they didn't have that intention back then, but to spin it.
And that's always been the fan theory woven into it. And that's a deeper fan theory than so many other fan theories in horror movies for the longest time. It's kind of like, imagine if you found out Michael Myers was somebody that had been in the movies all along.
Right.
Which they never have that element. They just don't have that element in the movie. Like, what if it was Dr. Loomis? But it's not going to be. But I'm just saying, they've never had that ability to play that card.
What do they do with this?
They do with this.
Gotcha.
And
so
if they do
execute it and
motherfucker, that would be the ultimate saga. Yeah. To me, there's no better. Because I think they fucked up the Silence of the Lambs one. There's a lot of...
Red Dragon, I didn't like it.
No.
Not Red Dragon. Hannibal, I didn't like.
But what do you say?
As in...
All of it. Everything I just threw up on you.
All right.
You started with Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes, yeah, I definitely think that is one of the most creative saga series. It's because there's so many different settings, and just a dream sequence is, limitless. So I think in that aspect, they really capitalize on what they were trying to do. But I agree about the scary part of it not being there. And now for with Scream, I think one of the main elements now is that Wes Craven is no longer with us. So I think that's going to kind of show through these next few. We'll see what they can do. If they do spin in a different direction with David Arquette, then I think that can make up for it. But the fact that Wes Craven isn't here anymore, that's just... And he also did both.
Well, the treatments still exist.
Yeah,
he left a few treatments.
Okay,
so that was the whole thing. Whether or not they use them,
source material still there.
There's source material there. So whether or not, like similar to the George Lucas Star Wars thing, supposedly he had some treatments and things left behind for ideas. There was talk of a prequel because he had a prequel element where it was going to go back and tell the story of the mother. I think that's a bad idea. I can't name one prequel that's played well in any genre. Can we think of one? Well, I mean, the Star Wars prequels are the most obvious.
The only one that was decent, even though people would argue it, but I love the Texas Chainsaw Remake, 2003 one. So the prequel to that, the beginning, the one with Jordana Brewster, I really like that one. That was technically a prequel. That's what Andrew Bernarski played the other face.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could spend all day on the Star Wars prequels. Yeah, the most shining example. Yeah. I wasn't a huge fan of them because I thought what it should have been about isn't. A lot of people have theories, but they made it like the Darth Vader story, like the arc of Anakin Skywalker. Yeah. I thought they should have harped more on Obi-Wan Kenobi. They should have made it more about Obi-Wan.
Okay.
And I think they did towards the end. I think they did towards the end of it. If you watch the last half of the second one into the third one, it's more about Obi-Wan and his struggle to have to deal with that.
Him, yeah.
And because I just thought you had a stronger actor in Ewan McGregor, and I thought, he'll be Obi-Wan forever. Yeah. And I thought, that would be a better angle. But whatever. As far as horror goes, I just don't think prequels play well. To me, Scream has the best opportunity to come out of this as the greatest horror saga ever told, from start to finish, done right, from start to finish.
Okay, I respect that.
But I think what the pressure is on Hollywood now, and I'll get your thoughts on this, to create these complete sagas, because in the old days, like you saw, like the Jason one's all convoluted and all over the place. The Halloween one's all convoluted and all over the place.
You know what did have potential? Jeepers Creepers.
It's interesting.
That first one, I think, was one of the scariest movies. Just witnessing someone throwing a body down a pipe like that, and then them hunting you down the rest of the movie to eat you.
What's the best standalone horror movie out there that, forget about like the mainstream ones that nobody talks about enough?
One thing that people, I don't know if they talk about it, but Conjuring is one of the best in the past decade.
It's amazing.
Easily.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that was incredible.
That's a good one. I think Amityville Horror doesn't get enough play.
The original or the remake?
The original.
Okay.
As a standalone.
Yeah.
I think that people talk about it a lot, but I think it's not played enough in that top echelon.
Fright Night.
It's a classic. Oh my God. Fright Night.
That's one of that not a lot of people, you can't even find that DVD anymore.
Even the remake was decent.
No, it wasn't. I didn't. With that Russell Brand type guy.
No, it had what did the remake have in it? It had
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell, yeah. Russell Brand.
Well, no, but they had Russell Brand as
the vampire. Oh, he was
like Russell Brand.
But he was hilarious, that guy.
Yeah, but not compared to
listen,
Rodney McDowell. And,
I thought in its own way you could look at it and laugh because it was funny, man. I mean, he was in a Vegas like Halloween show. It was so funny.
Yeah, that was
and he takes the wig off and everything. Oh my god.
He was a fraud. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a total snake oil guy. Like, yeah.
That's what they do in the old one, but it played out better for me. What's his name with Chris Sarandon was just too good as that vampire.
Yeah, he was great.
Even Child's Play was incredible in Child's Play.
Yeah, but that's not really standalone because they did 3 of them.
Right.
You know, they did more of them.
Fright Night would be one. Let's see.
I don't think people talk enough about, you know, when you look at some of the horror movies out there, like you brought up a good one, and it's not, again, it's standalone in a sense, like A Clockwork Orange is terrifying in its own Is it truly a standalone? No, it follows the Kubrick line, and it's...
No, I would say it's standalone.
Yeah, I mean...
It's a one-off.
There's just so much different material out there about it, but I thought if you go back and you look at it, that one's tremendously terrifying in its own way. But again, people talk about that one, so it's talked about.
Well, they have cult followings.
They have cult followings, but you know there are some that just don't get the love, I feel. But when they're on, you don't change the channel. You know, where does the line get drawn in horror movies that it's no longer a horror movie and it stems into something outside of the genre? Or do you feel like there's no great horror movies left and they're all psychological thrillers? Because I look at a lot of what comes out now, like just recently the Kevin Bacon one, you have to leave now or whatever it's called.
Yeah. You should have left.
It's like you should have left. It's a psychological journey.
Well, even most of the Blumhouses now, Fantasy Island.
That
was good till the end. I thought I was actually interested in that one. The Invisible Man remake, that was odd.
Very odd.
There's a lot of like, did you see The Hunt?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff like that now where it's just like a battle royale type thing, or like just last man standing.
I feel like the genre dies.
Ready or not, like it's just trying to like.
Because I feel like the genre dies every 10 years.
Yeah, and it doesn't get reborn.
Mm-hmm. It dies, and then it has to battle its way back.
Like Conjuring was one of the first ones that, like in a while, that really made its mark. I mean, then they went and did all the Annabelle and stuff after that, but.
And that's what made the Scream one so important, because they kind of rebooted the whole thing again, and everybody started coming out with their own versions. Like when Scream hit, that's when we started getting the I Know What You Did Last Summers and
those type of
movies.
Yeah,
90s.
Urban Legend and
Urban
Final
Legend.
Destination series. That's
but
a
I
trip.
can't put that in the top.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but as a saga, those are just
you want to know why
life things that can possibly go wrong and kill you. That's scary.
Yeah, I can buy into supernatural.
Yeah,
but sometimes they go too far. Like there were scenes in those movies where, like, I think it was like one where one of the kids dies in the kitchen. Like the stuff was just too
something bounces off
and too unbelievable, and you lose me.
Yeah, when it's too unrealistic, but the ones like the car accident stuff, like something that can happen. It's like this is real. There's a real possibility. That's what makes it more horrifying.
Do you still have nightmares today about any of them? I do.
But from just certain movies?
Yeah.
I mean, I think anyone's going to still have nightmares from Jaws. I used to think Jaws was my pool when I was younger. I used to think, or have like Placid, the big crocodile.
That was awesome.
I had a dream once where I was stuck in a lake, and on one side of me down hundreds of feet I saw the fin, and then you see the eyes of the lake.
Oh my God.
The Lake Placid crocodile, and they're both coming at me like this, and I have to swim to the shore.
Do you make it?
I think so, because I've never seen them fight, because I would love to see those two big animatronic beasts fight. The crocodile versus the jaw shark.
Who wins?
I don't know.
You woke up.
Yeah. You woke up.
You woke up.
Yeah. I thought you were actually acting me seriously.
And that was the only key element of Nightmare on Elm Street that always got you, was you had to go to sleep.
Yeah.
That was
can't avoid that.
That was the key element of Nightmare on Elm Street, especially the first one. Because if you go back and you watch the first one as its own movie.
How do you feel about Freddy vs. Jason?
Horrible.
not like a guilty pleasure? Nothing?
Horrible.
Okay.
It's like Alien vs. Predator.
Yeah, it's like,
and they try to weave a story into it, and you just like to me, So I categorize Alien as a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
As a sci-fi thriller. I categorize. So it's glad you brought that up. Alien, The Thing, all those movies. Those are more sci-fi thrillers.
Yeah.
I still put Sigourney Weaver as one of the greatest final girls of all time.
Yes.
Because I think hands down, that scene when she's running off the thing with the lights and everything, like you're just fucking terrified.
Yep.
Now the second one kind of dispelled and took away a lot of the elements of horror because James Cameron got out of control with it.
Yeah.
It was great in its own way because I think people loved the colonial Marines and everything.
That's why they consider the first one more of a horror movie, actually, the Ridley Scott one.
Yeah.
They categorize it.
But when she was putting that suit on,
yeah,
in in this other spaceship in the whatever you call it, the getaway ship, I don't know, whatever. When she's putting that suit on, bro, you are sweating bullets. You are fucking terrified. That whole scene, you are fucking terrified.
Yeah.
And you're like, please, for the love of God. And you know, women get a bad rap, in my opinion, in Hollywood in so many ways because they say like, oh yeah, they don't get enough key. Like that was a huge role for her.
One of my favorite roles. It's Kill Bill. It's my favorite of all time.
Oh God,
a huge lead lady, you know.
I mean, Sigourney Weaver will go down in history as like the ultimate for that.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a masculine role.
Yeah.
I mean, when she's in the elevator in the second one, fuck.
It was like G.I. Jane.
I wanted to be her. She was better than G.I. Jane.
Yeah.
I'd take her over G.I. Jane. You should fuck
Yeah.
G.I. Jane. You know, when she goes in that room with all the eggs, fucking terrifying. You know, but those movies fall into that sci-fi, and I think that's its own space. I think it has to be its own space.
No pun intended.
Yeah, it's funny. That's like reminds me of like Jason X.
Oh my
like
God, that's a guilty pleasure movie too, though.
Like that's why I say like as time went on, like Halloween, like there's so many. Okay,
like some movies are so bad they're good.
Yeah,
That's
so
one of those.
that's the next thing. It leads me down a path of like the worst ones,
Okay.
and we could spend all day on this.
Like Leprechaun shouldn't exist.
Like when in the Halloween when Busta Rhymes beats up,
he does the drop kick or the
Bro.
spinning. Yeah,
bro,
that was Resurrection.
Resurrection,
Yeah.
horrible,
Yeah.
horrible.
And LL Cool J was in the one before that, wasn't he?
He was the security guard
okay.
in
I
H2O.
haven't seen him in a while.
He lives like he never wants to die in any of them. LL survives all the time.
Yeah.
What's the worst?
Long live Cool J.
Long live. What's the worst mainstream horror movie of all time? I mean, there's a million low budget ones we could pick on, but the worst, like
along lines like The Ring.
Oh God,
Like that type
You
of
went there,
Like
but-
that type of mainstream.
Yeah.
Okay.
like in a theater. Let's not get weird.
The Grudge sucked. Everyone loves The Grudge. I did not. I couldn't stand it.
You know what's the worst for
The
me?
Ring, when I was younger, was scary.
The worst ever for me. Jason Takes Manhattan.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you're going into a series like that, yeah, that's pretty bad.
Awful. Awful.
When he punches his head off, I turned it off, I think.
They kill him by putting him in sludge in a New York City frickin' sewer.
Sewer, yeah.
Yeah. What? I can't hear you. You gotta put.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah, the sludge. Yeah. So I would say that. Next, I would say.
I would consider that a famous one. I mean, unless you're actually into horror movies. Like I'm talking like a mainstream, like everyone knows
bro, that
about
was in
it.
theaters.
In the 80s.
That was in a fucking theater. They had the nerve to sell tickets.
That wasn't straight to DVD. like,
Yeah, you know, I mean, that was in a theater.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know if Jason X went to theaters. Did it?
yes,
It did.
it didn't last.
Okay.
A lot of
that
them
had some cool kills in it though. Like there's like you can't say overall it's a terrible movie because it has good elements that you take away from it. Like that dry ice kill, disgusting. With their face on the counter. Do you remember that?
Yeah. God, you fucking digging deep. You went hard in the paint.
Yeah, there's some gross things in there.
Oh.
That's what lasts with me. When I see something that gross, I don't forget it.
Oh. Listen, there's so many. There's so many bad ones.
What, of movies or just movie kills?
Both, but movies.
What movie kills left the most impression on you? Where you
Michael
can't-
Myers stabbing, what was it, the girl with the shotgun?
Which one was that?
The fourth one, I think, the fourth Halloween. That's like
Really?
up there on the list. I'll look it up. I mean,
Why? It's like
because I just
was it that
like
gross? I don't remember it.
I mean, to me, that was just so unrealistic.
No, I mean like grossed out.
Oh, grossed out.
Yeah, not like fake.
So I just want to know which Halloween this was in. It was, I think it was, yeah, Michael Myers stabs the girl with the shotgun. That one's fucking terrible. The worst kill in a Halloween movie by far. I have to say, you want unrealistic or worst?
Did you ever see The Hitcher?
Yeah.
That's up there.
But do you want unrealistic or worst?
Worst.
Okay. There's a few unrealistic.
Like most grotesque thing you've ever seen, like you almost had to look away. It was that gross.
Oh,
yeah. Like The Hitcher when he gets ripped apart by the two trucks.
That's fucking terrifying.
That was the worst.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. As I'm saying, stuff like that just gets me, it's unnerving how gross it is.
I would say the most unnerving is Texas Chainsaw Massacre when he hits the guy with the hammer.
Really?
That's terrifying.
Quick.
Because it's so quick.
Yeah.
And he literally slams that door behind him. That fucking scene is terrifying.
Just drags him down.
Drags him right down.
Yeah. Now, to me, I think of...
Because you don't know where he's going. You don't know if he's dead. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but visually wise, I mean... You remember Resident Evil?
Yeah.
That laser scene?
Mm-hmm.
When the whole thing, the lasers go through and just cuts everybody up? That, when I was like 15 years old, gave me nightmares.
The most unrealistic by far is when...
people getting cut in half and stuff bothers me.
Yeah, but the most unrealistic is when Freddy Krueger puts the girl's head through the TV.
Oh, yeah.
That's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Unrealistic.
What's it say? Prime time now, bitch, or whatever. Yeah. You're on prime time.
You're on prime time now, bitch. It's fucking terrifying. So, you have a T-shirt line dedicated to horror movies.
Yes, because when I was about, most of my love for everything for bodybuilding and horror movies started when I was like 12. So I first got my first Sony mini DV Handycam. That's when I first started doing everything. I always wanted to find a way to combine my two passions of bodybuilding and horror movies, or just movies in general. So came up with the name Real Muscle. I had a bunch of different things before that. First, it was Real Jacked for a little bit. It was I didn't like how it sounded, but I'm like, all right, keep it vague, Real Muscle, and now I can play it off with basically any movie character and make them a exaggerated, jacked up version of them. So I mean, you have Michael Myers, I have Freddy.
I love him.
Pinhead. I made a Rambo, even though he was already jacked. I just exaggerated it more. I haven't done Terminator yet. Arnold's next eventually. But it's fun. My artist is Jerry Beck. He does all my stuff. He's a very acclaimed comic book artist, and
this stuff's amazing.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. I've never seen someone draw shadows like he does. And believe it or not, he's actually colorblind. So he'll send me a black and white image, and stuff that's colored, I color myself.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's crazy.
It's fun.
Now, what horror movie do you want to see made that hasn't been made yet that might be a character that already exists? Like, I think there's room for a tremendous... I thought The Joker was a good play in so many ways because I thought there was tremendous room to do that. Do you think there's anything that hasn't been done that needs to be like a killer alpaca?
Venom was done terribly.
It's a good point.
They could have made that really dark and gritty, and they didn't. That's one. Trying to think of a good character that they haven't really
like who hasn't been dark in a way.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see if they do the Riddler dark.
Yeah,
upcoming.
They will.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think that whole Batman movie's going. I mean, literally and figuratively, it's going to be dark. If you show the trailer, it's like you can't see much going on.
Yeah. Well, I think they have to go that way.
Lights, yeah. But yeah, Penguin's going to be dark in that, and they never made a Lobo movie. He's supposed to be a very...
There was talk about that for a long time being done. It just never materialized into anything. What do you think about remakes? Does Jaws get remade? Jay was
talking about it.
Yeah.
I hope not.
I hope not, too. Jay was talking the other day about Top Gun, and I was like, I want to throw up all over my fucking feet.
Exorcist also.
I think there's room for that, though.
I don't think they need to. I think the time that they did it with, they didn't have to... There's not enough special effects for them to have to do now over. All the practical stuff they did was realistic. I think that's what made it scary. It wasn't a CGI girl spinning her head around.
What?
But no, Top Gun. Yeah, I saw the trailer for that.
Horrible.
Yeah,
It's all nostalgia.
It'll be like a. Yeah, exactly.
If you could see one remade, what would it be?
Remade?
Done the right way. In a perfect world. Done proper. You have all the budget in the world, choice of director.
They talked about remaking Scarface too. Yeah, like don't touch it.
Any way you want it. I thought the Hitcher remake was good.
Yeah, that's what
I'd say like that's an example of doing it right. I mean, it's a limited movie. It's a limited movie. You can't do much with it. You know, I can't say the Halloween ones are remakes. They're not remakes. They're standalones
and stuff like that.
You know, I think that there's, I thought the Child's Play one was interesting. I thought that could have been interesting.
Yeah, that was a good spin on it to make it more modern. What's another good like haunted house type movie?
It's a good one.
Like House on Haunted Hill was like the remake was okay. Another like you were like another Amityville Horror because I didn't really like the remake of that too much.
Well, Ryan Reynolds doesn't work.
He was good, but I don't know.
Fucking. What's the proper age to start watching horror movies? Because I know certain young ones that can't watch horror movies because they're fucking terrified.
Well, I started at 7.
What's
the proper age, Mama?
I don't know. I'm 41 and I can't watch any of them.
So it's
but like
preference.
Like when James freaks out, is it because he watches because he wants to watch?
So like his passion is there to watch it just because he wants to be like the cool kid on the block. Yeah. Our son's 11.
Okay.
And
right on the line.
But he's like very into his imagination. Like he digs deep and like it is so fucking real to him. Right. And I mean he has nightmares on a regular day.
So that just
it's awesome.
Escalates it.
He's got
and I'm just like, not today, son. Like we like
can't
sleep.
Watch that. You can't,
the little bit that we have and that we get, I like it.
Okay.
You ain't fucking it up anymore.
Well, I mean, for me, what really made it easier for me to watch is I got into
the film side of it.
How they were made at a young age. So there was a couple of years where I was genuinely scared, but then I'm like, oh, I know how they made that mask, or oh, I know how they cut around that kill. Like they did a shot from this angle, and then they made the machete turn this way, so it's seamless.
I think for all of us, when what the hell was it called? What's the one with the zombies? Dawn
of the Dead?
On TV. What's it called?
Walking Dead?
Walking Dead. When Walking Dead it hit the gun industry, and that was really the first one to hit the gun industry. Like people would post all the time that they're sitting sharpening their knives.
Yep.
You know, I just, you break out all the firepower in the house, you put it on the table, and instantly you calm the fuck down. So you're like, yeah, I'm hoping Freddy comes through the door. Because I always thought, like, even in Dream Warriors, like, what kind of weapons are those choices? Like, I'd be like, give me a fucking 45-70 and a 44 Magnum. Good luck.
Yep.
But whatever. But, I think after Walking Dead, everybody wanted a samurai sword, and, the rest was history.
Negan's bat. I have a replica of Negan's bat.
Yeah.
Oh, we do too.
Yep.
Yeah. It's funny.
Seal.
It's funny how the certain movies hit the gun industry or hit our industry in so many ways, and elements of them hit our industry because
sure after Scarface came out, everyone wanted that M4 with the grenade launcher.
Well,
yep,
that was the one. I remember drawing it in my notebooks in school. I'm like, oh,
it's a flare launcher, right? It's a flare launcher. That's a 30mm flare.
Yeah.
Was it
not grenade?
M82
not grenade. Like Don't throw the G word around.
Sorry.
You have to say
no
flare.
G's and no B's.
Okay.
That's how we avoid the NFA.
Oh, I see.
It's a flare launcher. But not so much for me. I think when I saw Arnold in Terminator 2 with the 35, I think it was 35 or 30mm grenade launcher, the big one like Voltor makes.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, I need that. Somehow I was convinced I needed that. That was the most
gun of grenade.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was convinced I needed that. But I have said many times to Mr. Dark Alliance that the ultimate gun for me, and someday I'll even make it when I have an unlimited budget, is the Lawgiver from Judge Dredd.
Yeah. Stallone.
I still think the darkest movie not made, or what can be made, what I would like to see, and there's enough there might be enough source material, but there could be enough source material, is I would love, selfishly, to see some form of a dark bear in the woods attack movie.
Okay.
Something.
The Edge.
So there are movies, or there's stuff that's come out, but camping trip, whatever, and you get a bear that fucking eats like a whole family.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that's terrifying to me, is like when nature.
Well, for hunters, I guess that's biggest fear.
Or like a pack of, like, what was the movie I just watched the other day? Did you guys see it yet? The one with Liam Neeson. The with the wolves.
I know you're talking about.
The Gray.
Yeah.
The Gray. Watched it the other day, right? These wolves hunt this motherfucker down. You see that? You see that movie? Yeah. These wolves hunt this motherfucker down, and they kill like everybody in the group. And it's a group of fucking pretty good actors. There's some people in it.
Yeah.
You see it yet?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, fuck you. You
I'll
got
watch
to.
it. All right.
Okay.
On my list.
It's called The Gray.
Yeah, I know what it is.
And it's terrifying.
Okay.
Tell me you weren't shitting yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very Hitchcockian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Check it out.
So these wolves pick them off one by one, and it ends. Now, the ending of it takes away a lot of the horror element, but
All right.
I don't want to give it away. But watch it, The Gray.
Okay.
It's pretty wild. How long before we see a COVID horror movie?
They're being made. Oh, you mean for the actual disease? Well, that one, what's the infected one with Matt Damon? Quarantine. Right?
Quarantine.
Yeah, that's kind of.
And then we had World War Z. But can someone
Not zombies? But did you see they filmed a movie called Host, and it's filmed over Zoom. It has nothing to do with COVID. It was just filmed during COVID because everyone was in their own house and they recorded it through Zoom video calls. And they're doing a seance, and then there's obviously a supernatural force that kills them all in each video screen that you would see. But it was just cool that they were able to make a movie during all this when everything shut down. It was pretty good.
Where does the genre go from here?
More remakes.
It's sad, isn't it? God. You just shit on my Cheerios.
Especially after Halloween, they're going to keep pumping them out.
Safety. Safe.
Well, it already has an audience, and just bringing them back. If you do it right, they'll all come back and watch it again. But a lot of times they don't.
I think you lose some of the audience every time.
You gotta go, not again.
Not again. But I'm telling you, what can save the whole genre is Scream. Scream.
Let's see. I would like to do one more Freddy, but it's too old now.
Well, we might not see another Jason because the legal.
No, yeah.
It's fucked
That would
up
be
and
okay.
legal. You might never see that.
You're supposed to get another Leatherface, but then the directors both just left or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like after a couple weeks of shooting, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, we may never see another Jason because that's caught in a legal scrum.
Yes.
Is it
with the video game? You can't even update it because of that whole issue. That video game's cool. You don't play video games that much.
But you think they'll sort that out, the legal?
I mean, eventually, or when the owner of it dies, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I think what happens is everybody runs out of money and then they're going to make a movie.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
If anyone's going to get it, Blumhouse would get it. That's who got Halloween and all that.
Yeah, I just wish they would come to a deal. I feel like there's always a deal in there. How greedy do you have to be?
Yeah.
You got to come to a deal, especially with that.
It's like, well, why not? If you're going to profit from it, why not? Where it's already been, there's been so many Jason flops. It's like, why not give it some potential to come out with a good one? Even the remake of that, when they go to the pot forest or whatever it is.
Oh.
And he has the girl hostage, kidnapped. And yeah, I'm like, oh boy.
Who's the ultimate final girl?
I know the favorite is Jamie Lee Curtis, but I like Heather Langenkamp in Nightmare because even the last
It's a
one,
dark horse choice.
the new Nightmare,
Yeah.
because it's actually her and Robert Englund. It's like they're playing themselves. That was a cool spin on it. That actually acts as a trial for Scream. If you look
Yeah.
at the different breakdown of the story, there's actually a real killer that is from the movie and comes out to the real world and stuff like that. Which actually is kind of where I got the concept for my movie. It follows a group of film students, and there's a real killer on set that ends up killing the students. And the character I created is a welder, so he has a blowtorch and a sledgehammer. It's pretty cool.
I feel like the most, in many ways, Halloween's an interesting one because there's actually two final girls, and they never really did. I mean, they did a great job, obviously, with Jamie Lee Curtis in the reboots and bringing it back.
And then the Danielle Harris.
But Danielle Harris was another one that was never fully fleshed out in a way that
she's in those Hatchet movies now.
It could have been, yeah.
Have you seen those?
I have not, but
it's the guy that plays Jason.
Yeah,
Kane Hodder. He plays that character, Victor.
But I feel like she was a missed opportunity in so many ways.
I just met her last year.
How was she?
She was cool. I gave her a Michael shirt and she held it up and took a picture and stuff. It was really cool. Cause she was just in she had a little scene in Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
BuzzFeed came out with a list, and I want to run it by you.
Okay. For what?
Final girls.
All right.
And get your take on it. This is a big one for me. So, their list, whether you agree with it or not, is obviously at 25. You have Julie James, Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Okay.
That's
the last?
Yep, that's the last one. Lila Crane from Psycho.
Okay.
You have...
I'm sure Nev Campbell's way up there, right?
I'm going to just read the notables. The girl from Urban Legend. Kind of a lame choice. At 21, you have the girl from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is an interesting one. I don't even agree with half of these. But you have the girl from Black Christmas. They put in there at 16.
I don't even remember.
Yep.
Oh, another movie no one knows about. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you ever seen Motel Hell?
Mm-hmm.
Or that? The Farmer Vincent. Yeah, it has it's like a comedy spin of Texas Chainsaw.
Oh, yeah. Dana Polk from Cabin in the Woods. Underrated, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Kristen Connolly. Underrated. Cabin in the Woods was good. Very underrated.
Chris Hemsworth in that?
Yeah. Ash Williams, Evil Dead.
That's a final girl or just final guy?
Well, final. They call it final girl, but, he has to be in there, though, top 10.
He's the best.
He has to be in there. Christy Cotton from Hellraiser, good choice at number 7.
Yeah.
And then your top 5, Stretch Brock from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Caroline Williams, Nancy Thompson, Nightmare on Elm Street, there you go.
Yep.
So you Heather Lowenkamp. Ellen Ripley from Alien, they put her in 3.
And then
Laurie Strode.
Yep, Jamie Curtis.
And they do Sidney Prescott
as number 1.
As number 1.
Okay.
Nev Campbell.
It's definitely the most iconic. I mean, everyone's got
those are definitely the top 2 undisputed.
Famous, yeah.
Such a great genre around Halloween. So much fun. I could spend all day. What's your go-to for Halloween snacks? It's important.
It is. Lately, I just discovered the Sour Patch strawberries.
Wow.
You know the watermelons?
Okay.
They've made a strawberry now.
I went out and bought Reese cups because Seth posted the other day that there were Reese cups with
white chocolate Reese's cups. My favorite.
With pretzels in them.
Okay. The one with the cookies in them's good too.
They're around. They might be in this building.
Yeah. I saw them in the fridge walking in. And then other than that, I really like Milk Duds.
If you could dress as one Halloween character forever, who would it be? The only one choice.
I mean, Michael would be the most comfortable without
the coveralls. How do you piss in the coveralls? You got to get out of them. It's like a
down.
onesie.
Yeah.
It's like a jumper.
That's how girls feel.
It's like a jumper.
Right?
How do you take a shit in that thing? It's a cool costume, but what if you have to take a shit?
I don't know.
Michael Myers is a good choice, though. I might have a mask on the way.
Yeah.
The mask is fucking uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
He is by far the funniest horror character to ever become a mask. That mask.
It's William Shatner?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
The 4th one, the mask was awful, but
yeah.
Every other mask was good. Because the 4th one, the story goes, they couldn't find the mask.
Right. It was an imposter or whatever.
Yeah, they couldn't find it.
That's not the one where the guy's head gets cut off, right? With the mask on? Or the paramedic? No. One of the paramedics got their heads cut off.
That's the H2O.
Yeah.
It's not really him. That's the twist.
Yeah, that's the imposter one, yeah.
Yeah. And the Scream costume's horrible. Yeah, it's like a girl's costume. The cloak with the thing. It's like a woman's costume.
Even though I was younger, I had a Scream mask that smelled like vanilla. It was amazing.
Oh, my God.
I don't know why. The inside of the Halloween costume, I always remembered it.
Cosplay, is it cool or lame?
I mean, it's cool. In my what intrigues me is that
It's creeping into the gun industry.
it can be photographed and made content of. That's why I enjoy it.
We have people now in the gun industry that dress up in like full battle rattle.
Yeah.
And it's like, to me, it had its moment, but like
cool.
it's so lame.
Now, I mean, nowadays, and plus all these, with social media, everyone's posting their cosplay stuff and it has a platform to put it on. Otherwise, you would see it walking around Comic-Con and that's it. Now people are professional cosplayers. It's nuts.
It's lame.
You don't like it? I think if it's done right and it's not cheesy looking, then it can be.
I think when you're a grown ass person doing that, I could see like if you did it when you were a kid and it was funny, like maybe like till 25 it's acceptable. After that, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I
mean, a lot of it's just like it's girls now too that want to just
attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll say it. Attention.
That's what all social media is.
I want to ask you this before, we'll wind down, but
okay.
You're big on YouTube. Your big thing's YouTube.
Yes.
Jay's big thing's YouTube. Why is it so hard for people to understand that YouTube is more important than Instagram? Why is that such a hard thing?
Because it's harder to do. And if it's something hard to do, you don't want to have to fight the challenge to get that route. That's why it's not as, let me just post a picture and it'll eventually hit viral. It's like, no, I got to keep doing this. And each one's got to consistently hit to a degree.
And
until that
anytime
one blows up.
Anytime you're working with a brand or a person, do you have such a hard time convincing them?
What to get on YouTube?
Yeah.
They always have the same answer. Oh, we have it. We just haven't posted on it a lot. All right. So start posting on it more.
Because I think guys like you are the best investment to do that stuff.
Just to run it. I've believe it or not, in the past couple months, I've had people reach out to me to just manage the channel. Just me. They'll send me the video. I go in, upload it, do all the tags, do all the SEO on it, and run it for them. Because the other thing is they feel like they don't have the time to do it. Even though to me, I know it doesn't take too much time, but it's just knowing how to do it.
Right.
It's like any skill. You're not paying me for the 10 minutes it takes me to do it. You're paying me for the years it took me to learn it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Listen, let everybody know where they can find you and how they can reach you.
All right. This is Joe Reizer. My Instagram is @JoeReizer. It's REIZER. @Real Muscle is my Instagram as well for my company. And then youtube.com/realmuscle. We're about to hit 150,000 subscribers. And
it's like 60 or 70 on Instagram too.
60 on Instagram, yeah. But like you said, for me, it's the opposite. YouTube's been easier than Instagram. But I guess if I specialize in video, it should be that way, right?
Always.
So thank you very much for having me.
This was fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
Anytime. I want to do the sponsor thing. Appreciate all the sponsors. Head over to www.johnbartoloshow.com. Check out all the sponsors. Joe has some awesome stuff on his website, everywhere, T-shirts, all that stuff. You got to check it out. It's very reminiscent of the Dark Alliance stuff and everything I see out of those guys. And I love it. Like, that genre is freaking awesome. I want to thank all the different sponsors: Galotech, Blackwater, Galco Leather Holsters. Of course, I can't miss Right On Optics and Rhino Metals. Missing something, Manscaped. Oh, big shout out to Grey Ghost. They sent us a beautiful care package. Grey Ghost, go check them out. We give every guest a bag from them, so please, Grey Ghost, appreciate them. I'll put Joe's tags below. Leave a review everywhere podcasts are heard. I think we're good. We out?